Leonard Hamlin was a little boy in Brooklyn when history was made at his school auditorium. Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, the first black House member, officially became the first woman and black candidate for President of the United States. January 25th, 1972, at Concord Baptist Church.
I was in the 6th grade at the time, and they brought the entire 6th grade to sit in the balcony to hear that, to listen to her words, to see all who had gathered and filled what was quite a sizable fellowship hall and auditorium where everyone had gathered.
I stand before you today as a candidate for the Democratic nomination for the presidency of the United States of America. I am not the candidate of Black America, although I am black and proud. I am not the candidate of the women's movement of this country, although I am a woman, and I'm equally proud of that. I am the candidate of the people of America.
Did you think it was possible that she could become president of the United States?
Well, as a elementary school student, it was my reality. It became my reality that we were able to do anything, or at least that's the way I saw it. I may not be able to speak for everyone, but in seeing her stand up and make the announcement, and then the excitement in the room, to see all of those who were present, as you can imagine, a campaign rally at that particular time, and all the supporters of everyone cheering and getting excited, and to hear such a forceful, insightful, and we know powerful speaker, as Shirley Chisholm was, to hear that really encouraged me and helped to shape the reality that, of course, somewhat helps my steps today.
Reverend Canon Leonard Hamlin has stepped into a new role and is now the Canon Missioner of the Washington National Cathedral, delivering sermons from the Canterbury pulpit here with passion.
What a difference faith can make in our life. What a difference faith can make when we're addressing hard times and difficult situations. What a difference faith can make when we're seeing faith not just in our life, but how it touches the lives of those who are around us.
And Reverend Hamlin says looking within is strengthened by looking up first.
Sometimes we're moving because we're saying that's the way it's always been, but our faith says it doesn't have to be this way. Our faith says that we can do better. Our faith says that there's a seat at the table for everyone. Our faith is able to do and to put us in places and to do what we've never thought was possible.
Hamlin is not bitter. He has been a target of racism, even running from trouble with friends in Brooklyn to escape racist threats.
Because there had been incidents within that particular community and section of Brooklyn where there had been literal fights, or those who had been injured as a result of races or the clashes that would take place. But that is a moment that I will never forget, because we were all running and, of course, afraid of losing one another or somebody not being able to make it to the bus. And what would we have to do, and how would we get through something like that? But thankfully, we all were able to get on the bus. But I certainly was fearing for not just my life, but any kind of course, injury that I was going to result in that day.
It was his injury in a near-fatal car accident that changed his course in life in 1981 and eventually led him to the ministry. To his surprise, he learned he was born with a backup spleen that helped save his life in this emergency.
So what they were afraid of was that I would really had passed away from not just all the injuries that I had, but because I had a ruptured spleen, that I would really die of internal bleeding. when they finally got me into the operating room and were able to, I guess, cut me open to tie off the spleen, they found out I was born with a fully functioning secondary spleen. It made me believe, not even more so, in God's presence, God's care, His grace. In the midst of that,
Born a Baptist into a family of ministry, he became the leader of the Macedonia Baptist Church in Arlington, Virginia, and built that congregation for 22 years. He was also the chaplain of the Arlington Fire Department.
well, when I first arrived, we arrived at the church. They had on the rolls approximately at that time about 250, and the church had grown to really about 1,800. And the challenge was, how do we integrate this community? How do we have relationships? How are persons moving through life and being able to contribute on the full levels?
The place where he pastored in Arlington has a rich history of racial importance that many locals do not know or understand.
The Pentagon was built on top of really a particular Freedmen's Village. And Freedmen's Village was built shortly after the Civil War. It was a thriving community. And so years later, when they started building, of course, the graves, they moved a portion of those who were living in Freedmen's Village to certain neighborhoods within Nauk. The neighborhood where I was pastoring was one of those neighborhoods where people moved to. So you got a chance to hear those stories, to reflect upon that.
Now Reverend Hamlin is dealing with the national challenge of racial injustice. He was drawn to the Cathedral at an integral time of new leadership. Dr. Hamlin directs outreach and racial justice efforts, including a congregation trip to Selma, Montgomery, and Birmingham, Alabama.
Sometimes we're in the way, thinking that we've got all the answers, when really, if we can just get closer to the one who has what we really need, our lives would be changed, our communities would be changed.